Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to State of Affairs. We are coming to you from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio. We are pleased to welcome Michael McQueeny. He is an attorney. He's the chair of the Genova Burns Law Firm's Cannabis Practice. Good to see you, Michael.
Good to see you, Steve.
Where are we with the law in New Jersey, or the lack of a law in New Jersey, that legalizes recreational use of marijuana?
The history of adult use legalization in New Jersey is a story of hurry up and wait, which is to say we're still waiting to see it happen. We've had multiple attempts since Governor Murphy came into office, and we're still just waiting for it to be pushed along in the legislature.
What's blocked it?
Listen, there's a lot of different takes on that. What the take that came out in the last legalization effort was that the governor just didn't play enough transactional politics, that he wasn't willing to make deals with people, the deals that people were looking for to get it across the finish line.
But there are some who have genuine. We had Senator Ron Rice check out that interview on State of Affairs. Go on our website. Senator Rice, who represents his community in the city of New York, was like, look, bad idea. It's unfair to African Americans. It would hurt African Americans disproportionately in terms of use and abuse. You say?
Well, so listen, I think we're never going to sway Senator Ron Rice on this issue, but there's a couple important things to keep in mind, right? That we have one of the most progressive bills nationwide. There's set-asides for minority-owned businesses.
Explain what that means, Michael.
So basically, under this bill's structure, 30% of all license types across the board are reserved for minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. And again, this is not just to speak about remedying the injustices of what happened during Prohibition, but actually acting on it and providing incentives that say that licenses will not go out the door unless specifically they go to minority-owned businesses.
You know, let's break this down a little bit. 11 states in the country have legalized recreational use of marijuana. 33 states have medical use of marijuana that is legal. New Jersey, a couple months back, expanded the medical, because right now in New Jersey it's legal for medical use of marijuana. Correct. With a doctor's note, if you will, documentation, script. How has it been expanded? So
listen, the history of the medical program here is interesting, to say the least. Governor Corzine signs into law his last day in office. Governor Christie admittedly was not for it. So we had a program over the course of 6 years that really languished, to the point where when Governor Murphy came into office, there was only 15,000 patients and 6 active licenses. Since Governor Murphy has come into office, that number has jumped from 15 to 55,000. And a large part of that is the medical expansion bill that just went into effect that expanded not only the qualifying conditions, who are the patients that can actually get it, but the number and scope of licenses. So we had 6 during during the Christie years. We had another 6 that were awarded last summer. And then we had an application round that just closed for 24 additional licenses. And to me, that's the biggest part of marijuana legalization. Regular people understanding that cannabis businesses are not the boogeyman, that cannabis businesses are have more in common with an Apple store than they do a bong shop. And especially the types of consumers of cannabis that we're seeing in this program, in the 55,000 patients we have to this point, are certainly not the drug addicts that some of the naysayers might see them to be.
Michael, we've also had folks for the Partnership for Drug-Free. Help me, Jackie, hire our executive producer, Angela Valenti, in that group. Get me the name of the organization. Partnership, I believe, for Drug-Free New Jersey. They've argued, look, it is a gateway drug, and they're not the only ones. What do you say to those who argue marijuana use, for many, for some, gateway drug to other more dangerous drugs?
My response to that is, I think it's a gateway drug in the unregulated marketplace, right? When someone goes to let's remember, the illicit marketplace should more rightly be called the traditional marketplace, right? Because people have been getting cannabis in New Jersey throughout the history of Prohibition.
By the way, why do we call it cannabis versus marijuana?
Marijuana has more of a racist background to it. When the Prohibition era came about, and you know, people in the federal government were trying to scare people away from cannabis. There were undertones talking about how people in the African-American community were using it and trying to scare away, you know, white people in that regard. There was also, you know, similar to the hysteria we have today, that there were Mexican-Americans who were also part of this underlying problem, which is where this term marijuana comes from, which is why you see in a lot of states the term as it's being remedied, even under the law, is cannabis, right? Illegal marijuana is marijuana. cannabis is the legal counterpart.
And so the gateway argument, you say?
So the gateway argument is, listen, if I'm a user of cannabis and I go to my regulated storefront, right, the only thing I can buy there is cannabis. If I'm in the traditional marketplace, the illicit marketplace, who I'm buying from is also the person who's willing, more than willing, to sell me cocaine, methamphetamine, all these other really dangerous drugs, right? So the gateway drug theory, really only applies if I have equal access to those more illicit drugs, which I only really have if I'm going to that illicit marketplace.
Real quick, before I get into the vaping issue, which I know you're aware of too at your firm, which in fact is a supporter of state of affairs, I want to make this clear. The economics, the taxes connected to cannabis, the sale of marijuana slash cannabis, what exactly is it and why is it so relevant? Because when we had Governor Murphy when he was running, he said, look, there are two issues. One, there's an economic issue. He believes there's revenue to be made. He's not the only one, you say?
Yep. Yeah, listen, on the taxation piece of it, it should be something that we derive revenue from, right? A lot of the negotiation in Trenton over the last year was, what do we set it at? If it's too high and the prices correspondingly for cannabis in the regulated marketplace are too high, I'm not going to come back out of that illicit marketplace. If it's too low, are we going to be able to support the program? I think the most inventive thing they did in the most recent iteration of the adult use bill was to have a 2% dedicated set aside to the towns that host dispensaries in it, right? Dispensaries being the most visible business in the cannabis industry. If those towns are getting 2% from that and opening their doors, towns that are against it are going to see their neighbors getting richer, and again, are going to see that the cannabis industry isn't the boogeyman that they thought
Michael,
it
real
was.
quick, before I let you out here, 20 seconds on vaping. Where are we? Senator Sweeney's coming in here in just a few minutes to say we should ban vaping in the state, you say?
We need more research, right? So the biggest culprit we see right now is vitamin E acetate. Again, this goes, which is a thinning agent that goes into a lot of these vaping products. Again, this goes to the strength of a regulated marketplace. A lot of the deaths and injuries we see coming out right now are coming from black market vaping products, right? A regulator, Jeff Brown, who's our chief regulator here in New Jersey, has the ability to knock on the doors of the regulated marketplace and say, what are you putting in your vape products? Has the ability to say, if you're putting vitamin E acetate in there, get it out.
The key is regulation.
Correct.
Michael McQueeny, I want to thank you for joining us and breaking all this down. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Stay with us. This is State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato, and we will be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by Atlantic Health System, NJIT, the New Jersey Education Association, Valley Bank, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, NJ Best, and by Choose New Jersey. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Globe and by Meadowlands Chamber.